I'm thinking about what I'm doing and how it's making me feel while I'm on my device. And what we found is that that was related to far less depression, anxiety, and better mental health. What we need to do is find ways to live with these devices that help our mental health instead of hurt it.
We are doing a little series here, trying to give some entertainment to the Bedrotters, and then also to the people back at home watching.
Okay.
I explained to them yesterday, our values are all about home, making home the best part of life. And so we wanted to bring in experts like you who are way smarter than me and that can help us understand a little bit of the things that might, contribute to, behavior, feelings, like lifestyle that could kind of like help us not meet our goals of who we want to be as people, and also like human connection, is a big thing too. And we were looking at your work. Maybe you could give a little bit of an introduction of who you are, kind of how you got here, and what your areas of study are.
Yeah. So hi everyone. This is the weirdest thing I've ever done in my career.
Yep.
Sarah Coyne, I'm a professor of human development at Brigham Young University, and I study the impact of media on children and families, and I do a lot of stuff with like social media, mental health, which is, maybe why I'm here.
So your area of expertise has been in social media specifically, which really interests me.
Yeah.
I was telling you in our previous conversation that I have 3 children, ages 15, 12, and 10. You have some in the similar range. You have 5, right?
Yeah, I got 5 kids. So one who's 20, one who's 17, one who's 15. I think that one's watching right now, so hey, Aiden. And one who's 12 and one who's 8.
Okay.
So
you run the whole span.
all the kids.
It's fun. You've done a lot of research outside your family, but maybe within your family you've probably seen some things too, right?
I get some good ideas from those kids, I'll tell you what. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I have so many questions. Like the first thing I want to talk about is like maybe we could just establish some of the challenges that are out there for families in general. And I think a lot of these, would you say a lot of these are applicable to adults too, like with kids and adults?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good. We'll kind of cover the whole way here. So in social media, we're living in a world now where it's like, if you're not on social media, it's almost like you feel like you don't exist.
Yeah.
Like if people, I was talking to a friend of mine, they were saying that like they were dating someone and they're like, the person had no social media and they're like, this guy's a loser.
That's interesting.
And then another girl in the room was like, no, I would love that if he had no social media. Like that would make me so happy. And it's like, it's funny, like I think there's a pressure now. It's not just like an interest level or like a draw of entertainment. It's like, it's almost like a prerequisite for humanity. Like you have to have some kind of social media profile or presence to like, I don't know, for society to kind of accept who you are. And my question is like, so if that's the case, maybe it's not. Obviously you're a human being without social media, but if there's like this much pressure to have it, it's going to be something that's not going to go away. Like it's not like there's an alternative, out there, but there are some damages that are happening as a result of using this technology in an early age. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think you brought up a lot of important things. So I study mostly teenagers and younger kids. And there's this big tension, right, between teens, especially younger teens, wanting to be on social media because like that's where everything is. Like that's where the conversations are. Like that's where all their friends are. That's how they find out what's happening. And their parents are like, I can see that there's some danger here. Maybe not yet, or maybe not ever, or let's wait till you're 18, or like all of those kind of things. And so I hear a lot from teens who are like, my mom won't let me get on whatever, and now I can't like talk to any of my friends. And I'm like the only one, and so they're feeling excluded and they like don't belong. And I talk to other teens that are like, I was on social media for a long time. I recognize that it was like impacting my mental health, and so I'm taking a break now, and it's been so good, right? And so I think that even like younger teens hold this kind of tension that you're talking about.
Okay, that's really cool to hear. So the kids themselves are realizing it.
Yeah.
Are they able to articulate it? Or do they need professional help to do so? Or how are they talking to you about it where they're saying like, hey, I noticed that it might be having a negative effect in some ways in my life?
They're so smart. Like kids are like, we need to give them more credit because they can articulate it really, really well. I think as like parents or older people or experts, like we think we know all of the things, what's going to be best for kids. And I'm finding that I need to flip the switch on this one, right? That's not how I grew up. Like, I don't know how it feels like to have the pressures to have to respond to somebody immediately when they snap you or, things like that.
Yeah.
They're able to articulate it very, very well. And they're so smart about it. They're like, here are the things that are so good in my life about social media. Here are the things that I don't love. And also at the same time, I'm struggling to like stop doing those things.
Okay.
Right? That's like a really, really common thing that I hear from teenagers.
So they even recognize the fact that it might be a habit, right? Something that they can't get off, or that it's causing some kind of habitual programming.
I mean, absolutely. So a lot of the teens that I talk to will say, oh yeah, I'm totally addicted to my phone. And like addiction is a really strong word, right? And most kids are not actually addicted to their phones.
Yeah.
Some are, and that's pretty problematic. But the fact that like a lot of kids are saying, I feel like this.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I want to stop and I can't.
Yep.
Like that's some data that we need to listen to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I have, my two oldest are daughters.
Yeah.
And I went to this really cool thing at BYU. It was a father-daughter camp.
That's fun.
And Diljit Taylor, have you met her?
Mm-mm.
She kind of runs the whole thing. She's awesome, but she gave this really great talk to just the dads, and they were talking about trying to help our like simple minds understand girls, how they go from like maximum confidence to like all of a sudden they hit like 13 roughly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden their confidence just like starts to depreciate.
Yeah.
And they start to not like what they see in the mirror. They start to like, have issues with body image and friends and all these kinds of things. And it's a battle for them, not in a way that's different than boys.
Yeah.
It's a battle for them to try to like get back to where they feel confident in what they're seeing, who they are, what they're becoming, and kind of intrinsically what's most important to them. And I wonder how social media like weaves into that kind of body image, self-conscious kind of feelings that you have. What have you seen in your research, and what kind of things have you kind of uncovered there?
Yeah, we just talked about this in my class just this week. So like what happens is, around the ages of 10 to 13-ish, right? Most girls are going through puberty.
Yeah.
And so their bodies are changing really quite dramatically. And part of the pubertal process is like they're laying down fat, right? Like that's part of the pubertal process. And especially if you're like one who's maturing a little bit earlier and your body is like really dramatically looking like somebody else, not like somebody else's. You might get attention in ways you don't like. Or you might look at the mirror and all of a sudden you're like, what's happening, right? And so there's all of these pressures that are already happening at that age.
Right.
Now, right in that same time is when most kids get their first cell phone and when they get their first social media account.
Wow.
Okay, and so you have this like perfect storm, okay, that's happening for young girls. And so suddenly they're on social media and everyone is posting these curated photos of themselves. And there's all of this pressure to look amazing, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to figure out this new body. What is happening here? And there's so much what we call upward social comparison, right? So you can like downward social comparison, which is like, oh my gosh, I'm better than you. Most of us, when we're online, have upward social comparisons, where we look at somebody else and we're like, oh, I'm not pretty. I'm not as pretty as this person. I'm not as smart. I don't take as many vacations. I don't have as cool as job, right? All of this is like so automatic for us. And so if I'm like a 11, 12, 13-year-old girl who's bombarded with this, like no wonder our girls are struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a 12-year-old daughter who's like right in that stage right now.
Right
and
now.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Oh, it's so tough. I didn't have any understanding. I grew up with 3 boys.
Like 3 brothers?
3 brothers, yeah. So it's me and my 2 older brothers. And then, but as I've had girls, I was like, what happened? Like all of a sudden, like, why are we saying these things? Like, where's this coming from? And you're like, is there some kind of outside influence that's pushing it in? But you're realizing that, like you said, there's some body chemistry that's just happening naturally as part of that. And then, like you said, it might be like, it sounds like gasoline on the fire if you're just staring at comparing yourself to other people all the time at that age.
It's like such a sensitive, critical period of time, right? And then it's not just that time though, right? So like I've done research where I've interviewed hundreds of women about their own body image, from ages, 12, 13, all the way up to like 80 and 90 years old. And like, this is something that all women struggle with, and they all have like such a journey that they're on to find like body acceptance. I was just talking to a class of almost 300 BYU students, mostly women, about body image, and all of them like mentioned like the painful moments that have happened in their life around family members, around piercing and sensitive things, around social media, that helps them feel like they're less than. And that breaks my heart.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because you want to be, like as a father, you want to protect them.
Yeah.
You want to help them in any way you can. And when I was thinking about, I've read a lot on this subject. Like, I'm not an expert, but I've read a lot on it, trying to kind of navigate the waters myself as a dad.
Yeah.
And my wife as a mom, she's working on the same stuff. And as we look at these girls, we're like, kind of my conclusion was like to wait as long as possible to give them a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm on the conservative side, like of a lot of these parents. Like, this was one of the hardest things I've done as a parent is like have to watch her be really sad and be like not have a phone, right? Till 15. And I was like, I was like hoping to make it to 18, but
Good luck with that.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But same kind of thing. Like we got her an Apple Watch so she could communicate with some friends and like still text and stuff. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to try to keep her off holding the screen in front of her face as much as possible, just because I know it's been a detriment to my life. Like sometimes like I feel like it's really it's undefeated in terms of attention grabbing.
Yeah.
These technologies. So I was like, I just wanted her to have a little bit more of that childhood. She got the phone, and I think so far it's been really good because it's like she's realizing the difference, right? Of like when she's on, when she's off. I think like you said, she's been able to articulate too that she knows when it's too much, but it's definitely a battle for us to try to rein it in. Now we're getting, and I talked about this yesterday, now we're getting the questions of like, hey, my friends are getting Instagram.
Yeah.
And they're like posting, and not can I get it, but like I know that's they're like, when is the possibility? Have you thought around like timing on all this stuff, like cell phones? I know this is sticky because there's a lot of strong opinions.
Yeah.
But cell phones and like social media, like what's your research showing, and what are your feelings as a parent?
I think that's the number one question I get asked
Okay.
as somebody who does this. Like, what age should I get my kid a phone? And like, what age are they ready for social media?
Yeah.
Right? And honestly, it kind of depends on your kid. So I don't know your kid, right? I know my kids really well. And they all have like different things that they bring to this equation. So if I have a kid that's like really impulsive, right? Or if I have a kid that already struggles with body image or mental health, that's a kid I might want to wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
If I have a kid that's more responsible, that we have a really open relationship, that they come to me and tell me the things, right? That's when it's probably ready a little bit earlier, right?
Okay.
And so, yeah, with each one of my kids, it's been a little bit different. What I do like and recommend for everyone is make it developmental. So I'm a developmental psychologist, so like everything's developmental to me, right? So you said you started with a smartwatch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so like most kids are not ready for like, here's an iPhone, have fun. It's like giving kids the keys to the car without having any training at all.
Yeah.
Right? And so like we'll do like the smartwatch and then the Gab phone and then like all the limits and then like kind of just gradually go up, because like I want to teach them how to use technology in ways that help them in their lives while they're living at my house.
Okay.
Right? In like a good scaffolded, like developmental way. So then when they leave, hopefully they've got those skills, as opposed to like, okay, you're 18, you're leaving now. Here you go.
Here's all your technology.
Here's all the stuff. Have fun with that, right? So that's kind of my own personal strategy, kind of based on the research I've done, and then just kind of as a parent. And it's backfired on me before. Like we've gotten into some scrapes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like also kind of start slow and then move forward. That's kind of what I'd say.
Have you had, so it sounds like, step by step, kind of moving through. Have you had kind of problems with the kids saying, hey, she got it then, or he got his phone then, or like comparison time?
Especially as technology has advanced, right?
Yeah.
So with my oldest one, I think he was like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And we got him like a flip phone, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he was like,
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Yes,
Now my
yes.
kids are like, don't you dare. Like,
Give me a
don't you
flip phone.
dare do that to me, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll look at their older siblings and like, well, so-and-so's got this, how come I don't have this? And I'm like, well, you're not quite there yet. Like, we'll have conversations, we'll keep talking as we go
Yeah.
on. But yeah, and some of them will always be like, Mom, I wish you didn't study media, because then we could just do whatever we wanted. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, so many people who don't study media have far stricter rules than we
Right.
have.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's about finding that balance.
So one thing that I was thinking about when you were saying is you mentioned impulsive. Like if you notice your
Yeah.
child's impulsive, could you define that for us?
Yeah. So like impulsivity is like this drive to act
Yeah.
without maybe thinking.
Okay.
Okay. And so like an impulsive kid is gonna like see something that they want and they'll kind of reach out, or they'll say something maybe that's, they wouldn't have normally said if they had sat down and thought about it.
Okay.
Right? Or they'll go and like look at something online or seek out something without thinking about the consequences, or posting something that then they're like, oh shoot, maybe I shouldn't have said that about so-and-so. This is gonna come back and bite me in the butt.
Okay.
Right?
That's very good.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense now, right?
Yeah.
The technology is pretty powerful, and if you're impulsive with your posts, it's not good. Or usage of the internet in general.
It's not good. Yeah, and what we know is that there's a link between like impulsivity, like poor self-regulation, and things like media addiction, problematic media use.
Okay.
Right? And so something that I would love to see, instead of just saying to kids like, get off your phone, like, right? So like
Right.
talking about specific strategies about how to regulate in
Yep.
ways that are gonna be helpful for kids who feel that impulsivity and who feel like, I wanna keep scrolling, I wanna keep scrolling, I wanna keep scrolling,
Yeah.
right?
Some kids, like you mentioned too, you talked about communication with
Yeah.
like they're openly communicative, and then there's some kids who just are more closed off.
Yeah.
Is that like, I mean, that obviously could make them not want to talk to you about, struggles that they're having online or things that are going on. Is that why you say like it's, you kind of gauge how well they're communicating with you and open?
Yeah. So like it's like, as a parent, it's all about the relationship.
Yeah.
Like it is all about the relationship. And I know my kids are gonna have hard experiences online,
Yep.
because that's just the world they live in.
Yeah.
Like there are going to be things that they're going to experience that I'm not going to love.
Right.
If we have an open relationship, then they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, this thing happened. What should I do?
Yeah.
Like, how do I manage that? How do I work through it? Can you help? Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to if we're not talking, right? Or if I'm like really so restrictive that they feel like they can't come to me, right? Then they've got to manage that without any help from me, which
Right.
sometimes they do just fine. But I like them. I like them to come to me when they
Me
when they
too.
will. I know, right?
That's the best. So I want to. We'll talk more about some solutions in a minute. But I wanted to know, one thing I thought about too is just like comparing kind of each generation as you go along. I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of talk that people were just irate when they're talking about body image. They're irate that people in these magazines, because magazines
Yeah.
used to exist,
Yeah.
but magazines would be airbrushed.
Right,
Like they would
yeah.
airbrush certain parts of their body
Yeah.
to make them look a certain ideal that was unrealistic.
Yeah.
And now it's like times
A
100,
bazillion, yeah.
right? It's like what's going on there. What kind of things are people going through? Like what are the effects of this on body image specifically, like with the usage of social media? How does it make it worse?
Yeah. So a couple of different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the more that you're on like image-based social media, the worse body image tends to be.
Okay, is that what your research has shown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like Instagram.
The more you use it, the more you feel bad about your body.
Just kind of in general, right?
Okay.
But then we've also done research to find out like, is this the experience for everyone? And what we find is it's not.
Okay.
Right? So like some people can go on social media and then actually feel better about themselves after being on social media. And what we find is it's a function of like what they're looking at, and then also like what are they bringing to the table. So like if you're looking at heavily filtered, like beauty focused, appearance focused posts for like hours and hours a day, it's likely going to have a negative impact. If I'm
Right.
looking at like body positivity content, right? So like
Yeah.
I specifically follow influencers that are really open, like, hey, here's my stretch marks. Like, here is like my body that's unfiltered. That's really, really positive. And just like normalizing normal bodies.
Yeah.
Right? Or non-appearance content at all, like nature content or funny cats or, you know,
Yeah,
whatever
right,
you
right.
want to watch or listen to. So it's all about content. And then the other thing is like, so we've done all this research about who's most at risk. And what we find is that it's girls are most at risk, right? Who already have body image or eating disordered concerns.
Okay.
Okay. And who are really high on perfectionism.
Okay.
Okay. So that seems to be like a group of people that then when they're on social media, they feel the worst about themselves, right? So if you know you are somebody who already struggles with body image, right? Getting on social media and looking at beauty content is probably the worst thing you can do for yourself in that moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about perfectionism, can you help me understand a little bit more what that is? Because
Yeah.
we hear the term perfectionist, but what is it in the clinical sense?
Yeah. So, like toxic perfectionism is this idea that I have got to be perfect in every situation that I'm in. They tend to be very rigid, and so when they make mistakes, they experience shame,
Okay.
right? Of like, I made a mistake, so I'm a bad person, as opposed to I made a mistake. Humans make mistakes, like let's move on, right? And so this tends to be high at BYU. Like I have a pretty high perfectionist population, right? A lot of anxiety, a lot of feeling like I have to get everything right and do everything right and look perfect and act perfect. And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like it's completely exhausting. And it tends to be related to poor mental health, depression, anxiety, and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, it does seem to be, I mean, like you said, we're also being flooded with information.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was reading something recently about how, you know, human beings have adapted over, you know, thousands of years to only understand what was going on in their own village.
Yeah.
And now they're getting bombarded with information from everybody else's village. And then on top of that, they're getting bombarded with information related to like appearance or things that are like related to this new kind of modern world.
Yeah.
Where we're not worried about getting bit by a snake when we walk out of our door or falling off a cliff or like a
Usually.
saber-toothed tiger attacking our kids.
Yeah.
We're worried about like, which is like survival instincts. We're worried about like, do I have the right hair extensions or self-tanner?
Yeah.
Or as guys, you know, are we ripped enough? You know what I mean?
Muscular ideal is what we call that.
Muscular ideal.
Muscular ideal.
Yeah. So it's like, or am I rich enough? Do I have enough money? Like all these kinds of things that kind of push out there. And you're like, there's this void being, you know, with the modern world, we have so much luxury and like, you know, comfort.
Yeah.
Like we rarely leave a place where like the temperature is not perfect, right? Where we are. So it's like, there's like a void left over and we're filling it with like all this information. Is that what's causing this anxiety and depression crisis that they're seeing on the rise?
I think that that's definitely part of it and contributes to it. And so I mean, I'll go back to like my 10 to 13-year-old girls, which I think are some of our most vulnerable kids right there, right?
Yeah.
And so we're seeing these like beauty trends for that age of like, you on TikTok, they're watching all these influencers and like, here are the products you need to use to have, you know, no wrinkles and flawless skin. And so we have like Sephora kids now, right, who are rushing to Sephora and who are buying all these products with like retinol and stuff that's like not good for a 10-year-old skin, right? But that's the world that they live in.
Right.
And so you're right. Sometimes I look at like my own family, my own kids, and I'm like, you guys have so much, like you don't even realize, like why are we so worried about wrinkles at age 11 or 12?
Right.
When there's so much bigger things going on in the world. And yet because of social media, that is the world. That is their world right now. Right.
Let's talk about some solutions, you know?
Yeah,
like I think we've kind of established kind of there's a lot of stuff going on out there, but what can we do? Like you said, we know if we know we have body image issues or we know that we don't. I always kind of my own barometer was like, if I finish social media and I feel a little lower or down, then I'm like, all right, it's time for me to like make some changes, right? Like, you know, this coming week or whatever. We talked about screen time. People are spending a ton of time on the screen, and it's like, it's you know, debatable whether it's too much, or whether it's just right. So like, what can we do to like just make some initial steps to just like help with mental health, with, you know, anxiety, with body image issues? Like, in relation to how we use social media?
So like usually when we have these kind of conversations, everyone feels guilty. It's like, if you're feeling guilty, like
Yeah.
that's normal. I'm feeling guilty as I'm talking, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm an expert. I should be on my phone less, right?
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that's very, very common, and we all want to do better
Right.
on this thing, right?
Right.
And so just have a little bit of self-compassion, first of all.
Sure.
Okay, like we're all in this together. The second thing that people will rush to is like, okay, that's it. I'm cutting out TikTok. I'm taking the phone away from my kids. Like more drastic responses, like a huge detox. And like that can work in short term, but long term, it's not very effective. And so like what we need to do is find ways to live with these devices that help our mental health instead of hurt it. And so like for example, okay, one of my favorite techniques is reminders on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, you've been on TikTok for 20 minutes. What I like is like, you've been on TikTok for 20 minutes. How are you feeling right now?
Okay.
Okay, and so it's a prompt to not just think about time, because it's not, like time is something, but it's so much more about content and the way we're feeling. So that's just a cue to say, just like what you said, how am I feeling right now?
Got it.
Am I feeling awesome? Great. Keep watching TikTok, right? Am I feeling really crappy about myself? Okay, maybe I should do something else in that moment. So that's one of my favorite techniques that you can do, like on your actual device, to just kind of remind yourself to check in
Yeah.
and say, how am I feeling?
Okay.
Do I want to make a change?
How do you do that? You set an alarm, or you just kind of check in with yourself as you're using it?
You can set an alarm. You can set, so if like any app will have like a timer that you can set on it.
Okay.
And so if the alarm that goes off, you've been on such and such for so long,
Right.
in your head, then you can say, instead of just how much screen time, how am I feeling? That's what
Okay.
the alarm is for.
Gotcha.
How am I feeling about being on whatever I'm on?
Okay. So you're feeling like trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not a good day. You've scrolled too long.
Yeah.
You feel like me. I felt like I just wasted like an hour or something. Like
Yes.
looking at stuff that really didn't get me further, and it put me further behind on some of the other things I'm really trying to work on in my life. What then?
Okay. So first of all, have compassion for yourself,
Yeah.
right?
No,
You're
I
not
don't.
trash.
I'm terrible.
You're not trash.
No. Yeah. I know.
You're running a very successful company. Like it's great here, okay?
Yeah.
But it's so easy to get in that of like, oh my gosh, I have this one wild, beautiful life. Why am I spending it sitting on my phone in bed?
Yeah.
Okay? So first of all, like normalize it, accept the feeling, be like, okay, I'm noticing this, right? It's like
Yeah.
radical acceptance, okay? And then it's like, okay, what do I want to change? And a lot of us are like, yeah, we want to change something. Most of us don't actually do something about it.
You're right.
Okay? And so then I would think about, what purpose is that phone doing for you in that moment? Maybe you've had a terrible day.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to just chill out and to cope and to think about nothing
Right.
and watch like funny cats for an hour, and that's good for you. And you recognize in that moment that's fine. Okay?
Yeah.
But then you're like, maybe I should also call a friend because I'm feeling crappy.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go on a walk. Maybe I should read something. Maybe I should do these other things that fill my bucket in different ways, right? So like the analogy I like to use is, social media, TikTok, all of these things are like donuts. Okay, I love donuts. Like I'm a big fan of donuts.
Oh yeah. Donuts are great.
Donuts are so good, right?
Yeah.
Donuts are just fine to eat every so often.
Right.
If I'm eating them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between, I'm gonna be sick.
Right.
And so instead of like beating ourselves up for eating the donut
Right.
the one time or
Yeah.
even the second time, right? That's not going to be good for us. We're just going to feel guilty and sad. But to say, okay, I like the donuts in my life. I'm going to have them. Here are the specific ways that I want them. I'm going
Okay.
to it's so much more empowering than
Right.
feeling like the donuts are controlling you, right?
So you're looking at it as more as dessert than the meal.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
As I'm thinking about this, let's go back to the kids, right? I feel like I read this book called The Power of Habit. Have you read that book? Anybody read that book in here? Yeah.
Nice.
It's a great book. It talks about triggers, routines, and rewards. So like
Yeah.
it says your brain creates shortcuts
Yeah.
in your brain to make, because they used to think that willpower was like work ethic. It was like something you could just develop. Like you could be a hard work, you could just have a ton of willpower if you just
Yeah.
worked really hard on it.
Yeah.
And then they realized everyone only has a finite amount of willpower. It's like a gas tank. And when it starts to get depleted, you start to make bad decisions. Like you start to like do things that you shouldn't do. So your brain, to help you conserve willpower, it creates habits where like now, present day, like they said, about 80% of what you do in a day is a habit.
Yeah.
Like brushing your teeth, putting your clothes on. You don't need to think like, how do I tie my shoe? As people can drive, talk, chew gum, eat a burger, do lots of things at the same time, so they're conserving willpower so they can focus on things that they want.
Yeah.
But habits, you can get bad habits too, right? And you can do things where you're like, people they've studied all these people who had eaten or overeaten their whole lives and gotten to weights that were, really unhealthy. And then they completely turned it around. They studied people who'd kept the weight off for over 10 years. And they asked them what the difference was. And they said they realized that they had these triggers where they'd come home, the door would click, they'd kick their shoes off, and all of a sudden they'd open the fridge. And then they'd turn on the TV or get on their phone, and then they go back to the fridge. And it was just like, or they'd go order something from DoorDash or whatever. And it was like they realized, those people realized that if they couldn't change the trigger,
Yeah.
right? But they could they could interfere with the routine and or the reward. So the routine, instead of going to the fridge and going back and forth and eating and doing these things, they could go and work out.
Yeah.
So a lot of them got into fitness,
Okay.
right?
That's
And
awesome.
so they
Yeah.
said, hey, I'm gonna go work out, and they got the reward was dopamine from the workout,
Yeah.
which created a different pathway, a better habit. They basically replaced the old one with the new one. And I wonder how that factors in, like there's triggers with using social media. Have you seen that like certain things will trigger the use of social media or the desire to get on? And is there ways to kind of get involved in that routine that might limit it, so you can discipline yourself more, similar to like a workout routine?
That's such a thoughtful question. I love that question.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, question is, why do we get on social media?
Yeah.
Like, what are the triggers in our life? So the number one that we find for research is boredom.
Okay.
Okay. So like, we're bored. What do?
Yes.
Pull out our phone. Okay. It's like so common.
So common.
We feel uncomfortable. We pull out our phone, right? So I'm like sitting backstage. I don't know anyone here,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, Haley's like, get comfortable. I'm like, I don't even know anyone. What do? I pull out my phone.
That's right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like, I'm gonna do something, like it's a crutch, those kind
Yeah.
of things. I'm feeling stressed,
Okay.
okay? Or I'm feeling sad or lonely.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are common triggers.
Sometimes I'll pull out my phone, right, to try to hopefully find connection,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't find it, and then I'm feeling even more sad or lonely, right? Or maybe I do find it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think recognizing your triggers is one of the most impactful things you can do as an intervention strategy. Just think, okay, why do I turn to social media or, whatever it is?
Yeah.
What need does that fulfill for me?
Okay.
Okay. And then what else could I be doing? Yeah. And then when you're in that moment, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling uncomfortable backstage, take a breath before you hit whatever app you're going on and think, what do I want this to do for me in this moment? Okay. And that's all about just being mindful. So we just published a study about social media mindfulness, which
Oh,
is this
interesting.
concept of like, I'm thinking about what I'm doing and how it's making me feel while I'm on my device. And what we found is that was related to far less depression, anxiety, and better mental health than people who use it mindlessly,
Right.
right? Who just scroll without thinking.
Have you had a chance to meet with like people in like government regulators or people in politics who have a position on this at all?
I have, yeah. I've had a couple of really cool opportunities
Yeah.
to talk to a variety of political leaders about certain policies related to social media and mental health.
Yeah.
And I find that they want to know. They want to
Yeah.
know what the research says. I think they're a little bit swayed by like the news media, which is like, social media is all bad, burn it down, which
Yeah.
it's not, right?
Yeah.
It's all about like the content, the context, who we are as a people, right? Social media is not going to go away.
Right. It's not
So
going
instead
anywhere.
of trying to burn it down, like what are ways that we can empower and educate people to use it in ways that will help instead of hurt their lives? That's kind of what I'm all about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you'd experienced, like, are they educated? Do they understand what's going on? Or is it something that you've had to like help them kind of like kind of like
Yeah.
connect the dots.
It depends on the political leader, so I won't like say.
Yeah. Well, tell us who the dumbest one is.
No,
That's what
I
we wanna
won't. I won't. I don't want to get in trouble. It's frustrating sometimes though, because
Yeah.
they're like, well, I read one book and so here's how it is. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, it's way more nuanced. It's way more complex. Like I do this research for my job. Like,
Yeah.
let's have a conversation here,
Right.
right? And so I think I get frustrated with people who are like really in favor of complete bans
Right.
without, for example, talking to youth.
Right.
Right? And thinking about maybe what are the unintended consequences of bans. So for example, some of my research looks at like social media use in LGBTQ populations. And
Yeah.
in Utah, as an LGBTQ person, you might feel like you don't belong
Right.
in your family, you're getting bullied at school, you're feeling terrible, right? Online you can find a space. You can find a space where you connect to people, you belong, you feel good about yourself.
Right.
If a parent's like, I'm just taking your phone away, you lose that whole community,
Right.
right? And so you just have to be so thoughtful of all of the nuances of the good and the bad that social media brings to any person.
Right. It's definitely ingrained in the culture. It's like it's as intertwined as I don't know. I don't know that communication. It's a huge part of communication these days, and
So
and
much.
connection,
Yeah.
right? And there is some good stuff on there, and you do see a lot of positive things. I mean, there's some great things that come across the wire. It's just you can't really control the algorithm,
The algorithm.
right? You can
Oh, the
get like
algorithm.
great content, and then you can get stuff that just really can bring you down.
Yeah.
Are there things that you've seen, like tools that you've seen that can help with that, like about what kind of content you're getting fed, or how, like what's like the general kind of, instruction that you give around safety, just being using it?
Okay, so the algorithm, like it's so bad, right?
Yeah.
You can train it in some ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember, like during COVID times, I think we're all kind of depressed and anxious
Yeah.
during COVID times, right? And I'm seeing all of these awful things in my feed, and I was like, this is not helping.
Right.
And so I started to follow like positive news.
Okay.
So I love Upworthy is my
Upwardly.
very
Yeah, I've heard
favorite.
that one, yeah.
Tank's Good News is another one. Like I just started to follow all of these really positive things.
Right.
Right. And then it would feed me more of that content.
That's good.
And then I was watching Baking with Blondie is her name.
Right.
It's like these cake videos, and I'm like, I feel better after watching cake videos.
Right.
So I started like searching up and following cake videos.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden my feed was full of baking.
Okay.
Okay. And then one day I was feeling kind of depressed. And so I bought like $200 worth of baking stuff. And my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going to bake. I'm going to bake like Blondie. And now I do. And I
Oh,
have
that's
like
cool.
this like new hobby and talent, right?
Of baking.
Of baking
Did you bring
cakes.
anything or no?
You didn't ask.
Okay.
And
All right.
I
all right,
just
all
really
right.
apologize
That's
for
awesome.
that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so that's kind of one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, but then also, right, when you're seeing it feed you negative stuff, there's a way to click on I don't want content like this.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll give you an example from this week. Okay, so I am 45. I'm middle-aged. Okay, so I'm like in this demographic where I'm getting fed all of this like menopausal content
Okay.
all the time.
Gotcha.
And I'm noticing like every third post is a new wrinkle cream or a new weight loss something. And I'm like, what is this? What is happening, right?
Right.
So I can click, I don't want this content. I don't like this content. And then if I'm still getting it, that's the time when I'm like, this isn't good for me. I'm going to switch something else.
Okay.
Okay. So those are some things.
Definitely some self-awareness associated with that,
Yeah.
right? And I think
Absolutely.
like, one thing I take away from this and the conversation I was having yesterday is just like seeing it, like as a self-care activity
Yeah.
rather than like some self-restriction or like some kind of ideal you're going for in life. I think it's just like anything else, you got to moderate and you got to really kind of be aware of when it's getting out of hand.
It's the donuts.
Course correct with the donuts. I like the donuts one.
It's all about like the content, the context, who we are as a people, right? Social media is not going to go away.
Right, it's not
So
going
instead
anywhere.
of trying to burn it down, like what are ways that we can empower and educate people to use it in ways that will help instead of hurt their lives? That's kind of what I'm all about.